Welcome into this episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff with you, and great to have you along. Today we're joined by offensive coordinator Graham Snelding, substituting in for head coach Justin Rowland. And I think it's a good opportunity to get you in, talk to you a little bit, because we haven't done a Coach's Corner, and talk a little bit about this offense that I was looking it up, through 10 games. You got the playoffs now. I think it's 416 total points. Now, the last time Ponca had anywhere close to that, you were actually the OC back in, I think, 2010, where they had 400 points in a season. So this offense, it's doing something special this year, isn't it, Coach?
Yeah, I'm excited, especially being a first year with the guys and, how they've responded to what we're doing. And it's exciting that they're having that kind of success. Like to always do better. As a coach, you always see things that we could do better. And the hope is we continue to get better and better.
Yeah, and, you bring in this wing T offense, and it's something you don't see a lot. I mean, there's another playoff school that, Southmoore, Stillwater, all them have seen it with Piedmont in a way, even though it's a little bit different in a lot of ways. But it's really kind of energized things a little bit. And you don't just go exclusively that. You'll do some other stuff too. But it's been different. But ultimately, you always got to have the guys that can make it work. And you got the guys that can make it work this year.
Yeah, I mean, our kids did a good job of buying into being very unselfish players. It's an offense designed to use a lot of different people in different ways, and gives us a chance to use kids that to their strengths. And a lot of times, anymore, especially with the way everything is, the kids always want the ball, and our kids do a good job whenever they're not getting it, and they do a good job when they get it.
Yeah. All right, I got to ask you about a couple of plays. First off, the rolling play, which everybody talks about. I've talked to the kids about it. What was it like? And I'm sure you've done this in the past at other places, but there hasn't been a turnover on this play. I think this season. So it's safe because you've run it a lot. You probably on average 2 or 3 times a game. But what was it like when you first said, "Hey, here guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually just roll the ball, kind of a fumble rooski type thing"? What was the buy-in from the guys on that?
Well, the play originally originated as a direct snap to the fullback up close, and honestly, we always had trouble with it coming too hot or hard to handle, and we'd end up dropping it a lot. And then we just decided, why not just roll it back? And so it kind of came of that. And then we had a little misdirection to it, and just kind of made it our own from that standpoint. Kids at first took a little bit to figure out how to roll the ball back correctly, and once we got it figured out, then it went pretty good. And the kids love it. I mean, it's just kind of fun, catches the other team by surprise a lot, and they just like the blocking scheme that goes with it because they get to be real physical when we do it.
Yeah. And that's, talking about that, we'll get to another play momentarily, but the offensive line, you got a group of kids that do want to be physical. And they had their rough spots this year. And, of course, you hardly can go through a season without somebody on the offensive line getting injured. And, of course, Javi with his injury. But the response of what these guys have been able to do, I think you have to be pretty proud of them because they have stood up and, for the most part, through most games this season, dominated the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, I've been real happy with their offensive line. We've got a lot of young players on it. The last 2 games we've been playing mostly 1 junior and 4 sophomores on the offensive line. We have some other kids get in too, but for the most part, that's what it's been. Our 2 seniors, Javi and Blaze, they've done a great job in their leadership. They've been a little banged up, and it'll be good to get Blaze back, back to 100%. So he's kind of the heart and soul of that unit. So, but those kids have done really good. Our O-line coaches, Coach McHenry, Coach Freeman, and Coach Osler, have worked really hard with all levels of our kids. I thought we did a good job this year with our 9th and JV and their quality of opponents they're playing and the work they did. So those kids got a lot of reps. And you'd like to play older offensive linemen, but those are the guys we had that were ready to play. And I think it looks good moving forward with the physicality they're bringing.
Yeah. All right, I want to get to another play, the play action out of this. And, when you go under center, I think it helps your play action so much and what you can do. And you guys have a play action, I think, scores a touchdown about 90% of the time you run it. And about 90% of the time it's Colt Shickram that ends up getting it. But this play action's so successful, and I feel like you're doing a good job because you never know when it could come at you. It seems like it does come, and that's what you're trying to do at most unexpected times. We've seen it on a fourth down. We've seen it on a first down. We've seen it when you're driving the ball, running. You think, oh, there's no way they're going to do it. You see it at different times, but it's not just Colt sometimes running down the field wide open. You have two other guys that run down the center of the field wide open. I mean, as a coach, you have to sit up there and be proud, saying our play action's working so good. We got three guys going wide open down the field.
Well, there's a lot of things to making the play action work good. The scheme, I don't know if people know, we really don't run that many different plays. We have a pretty simple play list we run. We run them from a lot of formations and with a lot of different things to hide it, but the actual number of plays we run is not that many. Especially in the passing game, I began with that. You talked earlier about when I was here first, we threw the ball all the time back then, and just over the years, I've found some passing concepts that seem to always work well, that gave the defenses trouble. And this, the power pass is what we call it, and it's one that over the years has just been a very good play for us. The things they got to do is there has to be a good fake. Yep. Your run game has to be working.
Right.
If you can't get the secondary to come up, and what it's designed to do is when we feel the secondary guys are coming up and starting to make a lot of plays and fit the run game, then it's an opportunity for us to make them pay for that. And so that's why it is. There's a lot of things to it that make it work, to make it really good. And then, of course, quarterback's got to read it. We got to protect it. And then he's got to find the open guy. And we spend a lot of time working on it, and so that when we do run it, it usually works out well for us.
All right. The other thing to bring up with this offense is you'll run the spread at times. You'll throw that out there. But even when you run the spread, there's a big emphasis on, there's going to be 11 guys on the field. One guy's the quarterback. There needs to be 9 other guys blocking. And you don't see that a lot of times with teams. And I'm sure you've had years where you've been a coach and not everybody bought into that. It really seems that everybody is bought in, and that's what's made this work, is everybody's bought in saying, hey, we have to go and we have to go make our block. And that goes from your running backs to your wide receivers that you have out there. Everybody's willing to go get physical and make a block.
Well, I mean, that just over the years, of doing it, I can't remember at some point early in my career, I just decided if you were going to be a selfish player, you were going to have trouble playing for me. And I'm just real honest with the kids. I mean, I'll tell them if you won't block, if you won't do all the other stuff right, then, your playing time will be either limited or not at all. And, it's a team game. I think that kind of attitude is what makes the best teams I've seen be what they are. I mean, obviously you want a talented kid, and you want, and I've been lucky enough to have those in my career. And when I've had those, they get the ball more than everybody else, and that's fine. But most of the time, what you find is you've got a lot of really good players, and it's better to give them all opportunities. It just kind of makes everything work. If you don't have the one guy that can break 4 tackles and then run, 80-yard touchdowns, that's a little different. Or a quarterback that's going to, make some unreal throws all the time, all over the field to unbelievably good receivers. So sometimes you got that. A guy can make a play when he's triple covered and quarterback throws it up. But, this is my 3rd time here, and the kids we have always been really good, hardworking kids, just good character kids. And that's what it is here with us right now, I feel like. And, we're lucky a lot of them have some talent. And so we've been able to take advantage of that.
We talk about different things that happened. 2010, and go back to that year again. That was the last time 2 non-quarterbacks had double-digit touchdowns for Ponca City. And you've got that now. You got Inell, you got Colt, Of course, with Johnson throwing the ball, he's up there as well. Bam Bam's not too far behind. But I say that to kind of phrase it this way. You have all these weapons that you could go to at any time. And it's, as a coach, you got to love that. But when you're up there calling it, what's going through your head? Because, I mean, it's one of those, you're only as good as your last play as a coach, right? I mean, that's usually the way it goes. But how do you decide who gets the ball this time? Because, man, it's tough because you got a plethora of guys that can go get you a play at any point.
Well, I mean, our offense is designed, set up around a couple plays. And those couple plays, if the defense doesn't adjust, then they can't stop them. And when they adjust, it opens different things. So as they do the movements, I've just seen it for so many years. that as soon as they make the movement, I know what's going to work against it. It's just I've been doing it for a long time, and I think since 1998. And,
yeah, and a trip to Florida. I mean, it's not like you didn't coach a LeGarrette Blount, you know.
Yeah. So, you've been lucky a couple times that I had way better players than I was a coach. But, it's just, over the years seeing it. And then, of course, we watch film, and you kind of can see what adjustments they'll make, what their kids are, who they've got in spots, what they're going to be able to adjust. And then we prep for it all week. And then, kind of have some answers, maybe little tweaks here and there each week specifically to what they're doing or the kids they have.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Preparation is always a big part of it. But at the same time, you got to be able to make those adjustments. And everybody, I always joke, everybody talks about halftime adjustments. It's not halftime adjustments. It's actually in the game saying, hey, this is what we need to be doing. And it's not like you're going to rewrite your playbook because of what they're doing. You have certain plays if they counter that, this is what we got to do.
Yeah, and I love coaching at this level for that very reason. I've coached it. I've been lucky enough to coach at all the levels in football and
played 8-man football, so you've got a little bit of everything.
So I've got a little bit of everything. And at the smaller schools, lots of times there are no adjustments by the other team. They just do what they do. Some of the better ones might adjust at halftime. As you go up through the classes, pretty soon they start adjusting by the quarter. Then when you get up to this level, lots of times the teams adjust every drive. They've got all the technology on the sideline. Their coaches are making adjustments left and right. And the really, really good ones can adjust during the drive series. And so I enjoy the challenge of that. Takes a lot of prep work, on my part, and that's what I like to do, and that's one of the things I love about coaching the game.
All right, let's get to, speaking of prep work, Southmoore, finished 5th in their district. I would say you got one common opponent on the card, Putnam City North, pretty similar with how you teams maybe won in that one. It's playoffs. It's going to be tough. It's always the case, and you feel like probably evenly matched. I'm sure their coach is sitting down there saying, hey, we can win this game just like you guys are, but what's this game going to come down to, at least for the Ponca City offense to do what they need to do to win this?
Well, you're correct. They've gotten better all year as a team and on defense. They have some very good players. They're young like us, and their players have continued to grow throughout the season. As we've kind of watched through the film, you can see them get better and better every week. They've got some good size. Their defensive line's physical. They've got a really good set of linebackers. Really, they don't have a true weak spot. All their kids are solid. We've seen that a couple times this year. I mean, the biggest thing for us we're going to have to do is we're just going to have to execute, not turn over the ball and not get a lot of penalties. Penalties and turnovers are what really hurt us.
And you guys have been excellent without, I think 2 penalties in the last 2 games and not turn the ball over either.
Yeah, we work on it all the time. Sometimes, especially with our young guys, they'll try to do too much. Sometimes we have to. You always want them to, make as many plays as they can. But sometimes when they're in the effort of making a play, they'll expose the ball, and against good teams, they'll punch it out, or we'll push something into a window that's too tight, and it's just not there. We've been pretty good about it for the year. Just seems like a lot of times when we get those penalties or turnovers are at really rough times for us. For us, I think it's going to be more about us than anything else. I think their kids are going to play hard. They're good. If we execute the way we're supposed to, we'll move the ball. On them, I feel like we can move the ball on anybody we would play against at this level, and so. It's just going to be us. If we can execute and do all the little things right, then we'll be fine.
Well, what I find interesting, too, and I've talked about this, it's all about, as a coach, you got an idea how your kids are going to respond, but you never know exactly, right? We're talking about 15 to 18-year-old kids, and we all know what we were like when we were 15 to 18 years old. But you look at the difference, and you and I talked about this when going in that Sapulpa game, where Sapulpa was on the winning streak, and you guys had kind of been in the rough part of the schedule. It's kind of the same thing with this one, but at the same time, as a coach, I think you sit there and go through your head and tell me if I'm wrong. It's like, okay, here they are. They played the top 3 teams in their district, and they lost all 3 of those games. So they've been really battle tested their last 3 games. Where you guys, it's like, okay, we played the bottom teams in the district, but we got the momentum. We win. We see that. We maybe, do we overthink it too much? Ultimately, it's about what kids come out there and respond the best.
I think a lot of it comes, there's always turning points in the game, and momentum catches on that. Like with us, them having some early success at Sepulpa kind of affected us more than what it probably should have. And so hopefully, I think that's pretty common when you're playing, especially young teams. If we can come out and have some early success and move the ball well, I think it'll be a good night. If they, do a good job of stopping us and it gets real tough, then it's kind of a back and forth momentum deal until someone cracks. But it's tough. I mean, more than anything, over this little stretch, we were able to get healthy all the way, and we were really able to work on some stuff that we needed to work on. A lot of times everybody, you want to come in, and we started out really hot, but we were still making a lot of mistakes. And, in the season, it's hard to correct those. And so the last couple of weeks, we were able to get some stuff corrected. And,
it's stuff that was exposed during that tough run.
Correct,
right?
It was. And honestly, we saw it before. Sometimes the kids need to have made the mistake for them to fully believe and understand.
They don't need the coach say it. They need to see it.
They need to understand if they don't put their head on the right side or they don't step with the right foot, that it matters, especially against really good people. And so it was some stuff that got fixed that needed to. And I think we'll continue to do that, as we move forward.
Last thing for you. All right, you come back, and like I said, third stint at Ponca City. Did you expect, and I mean, you're probably, in a way, you always expect a lot. I mean, when you've been doing it this long, but you got to have buy-in. You got to have, all this different stuff that comes together. I mean, Ponca's offense has been kind of one of those things that hasn't been explosive over the years. It hasn't been able to sustain and finish long drives. I mean, that's something I've seen the 10 years I've been here. To come in and do it and have that success here in year one, was that something that you thought as soon as you took the job you thought it could happen, or is it something that you just kind of, as you saw the kids kind of progress and said, hey, I believe we can do this?
I mean, luckily through my career I've had a lot of offensive success, and it's one of those deals you don't know the time frame on it, when it's going to work. It has a lot to do with the kids buying, and credit to our kids this year. They came in and they've had to do a lot of new stuff or different things, and they bought in and they worked on it. And we've had our struggles on fully buying into some things, but I think over time they've gotten to where, especially now since we've had some success, really believing in what we do. And to me, it's a consistency thing. You run it, we're trying to run the same stuff through all the levels, so that it'll continue on. And the kids will just get better and better at it as they do it. And, everything, of course, there's lots of good ways to do things, and there's no one right or wrong way, but just having the way that we do it, and getting the kids to fully understand what exactly we're trying to do has made things good. And their willingness to learn is what really allowed it to happen.
Well, I'll just be perfectly honest, 41 points a game. If you'd have told me that over the summer, and like I said, I had a lot of faith in you. I've worked with you before and knew your experience, but if you would have told me, hey, I can guarantee 41 points a game this season, I'd have been like, you know what, Coach, I don't believe you. I trust you, but I don't believe you on that one. But that's what you guys have done. So I think that's a testament. And not only that, with all the young guys you have, I mean, you don't want this season to be over. You got a lot on the table. You still got a lot of opportunity because the 6A2 is maybe as tight as it's been in a long time. But when you got all these young guys that you have, there's a promising future here for the Wildcats.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think our head coach, Justin Rowland's done a great job of, prepping the team for continued success. And, we've got a lot of stuff, for sure this year's far from over. It's wide open, it's truly one game at a time. And, I feel like, anybody that's left, we have as good of an opportunity to beat them as they do to beat us. And I think our kids feel that way and our coaches do. And, looking forward to the future always, which, as a coach, that's part of your job too. I think that the program will continue to grow and get better. From what I've seen, I've been lucky enough to be around a lot of programs and a lot of good coaches, and I really like the stuff we're doing here, and what our forward moving plans are and everything else, and hopefully we can get them all executed. And I think people will be really happy with what comes from the program moving forward.
Yeah, certainly so. Well, Coach, really appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for coming in. Coach Graham Snelding, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coach's Corner. Thanks to Chris, as always, from behind the camera. Until next time, Jordan Woodruff saying so long, and go Cats.